Grandma, Mom and Dad are going to take your money after the party, my grandson Ethan whispered in my ear. He's only 9, but his words made my heart drop. I left the table before the cake was even served, and what I did next changed everything. Later that morning, Brad called me, acting extra cheerful, saying, "We just want to talk about how we can help you more." But the way he said it felt rehearsed, like a salesman reading from a script. I gripped the phone tighter. "You've never needed to schedule time to talk to me before," I told him. I could hear Kayla whispering in the background, and then Brad cleared his throat. He said Kayla thought it would be nice to have a little family chat before the party. He kept using the word important, and I've lived long enough to know that when family says something is important, it usually means trouble. I asked if Ethan was okay, and Brad got defensive. His voice sounded just like it did years ago when he wrecked my husband's truck and blamed the brakes. He laughed nervously and said it was just a big day that Kayla had been planning for weeks. Funny thing was, Kayla never planned anything for me, not even remembering my birthday unless Facebook reminded her. So why now? Something wasn't right. When Brad told me to come with an open mind, I pressed him, and he rushed to say, "It was nothing bad, just some ideas about my future." My chest tightened. "I'll see you at 1, I said, and hung up. Standing in my quiet kitchen, I thought about all the times they only called me when they needed money. Just last year I'd given them $20,000 for debts, cars, and tutoring for Ethan. I didn't mind helping him, he's the reason. I hadn't cut them off already, but I wasn't blind. This wasn't help, it was a pattern. I looked around my kitchen, every detail a memory of my late husband. Walter the backsplash, he tiled, the mug rack we bought in Maine, he'd been gone 3 years, and I'd managed fine on my own. Then, I heard his voice in my head, "Don't let them decide for you." I straightened my back. If Brad and Kayla thought they could ambush me, they didn't know me at all. I would go, I would smile, and I would listen, but I'd also pay close attention to every word, every look, every lie. I wasn't their victim anymore. That's how I found myself later that morning walking into the Ridgeview Mall, the sun beating down on the asphalt, families rushing in and out like ants on sugar. Ethan's birthday mattered more than their schemes, and I wanted to make it special. I headed straight for the toy store, clutching my purse a little tighter. The teenager at the register smiled and asked if I needed help. "Yes," I said. "I'm looking for the Lego architecture sets. Something challenging, but still right for a 9-year-old. The clerk led me to a display, and right away my eyes landed on the Statue of Liberty set. It was tall, sturdy, and detailed just like Ethan. "He's been crazy about buildings lately," I said without even thinking. The boy scanned the box and grinned. "Excellent choice. Want it gift-wrapped?" "Yes, please," I said. "And a gift receipt, too." While he wrapped it, I caught myself staring at the reflection in the store windows, half expecting to see Kayla outside with a clipboard, plotting her next family meeting. I shook it off, paid, and tucked the wrapped box under my arm before heading to the bike shop. I already knew what I wanted. Something with handbrakes, safe but not flashy. The clerk helped me pick out a solid Trek model with reflective strips. It wasn't cheap, but neither was the joy I imagined on Ethan's face, riding around the block yelling, "Grandma, look at me." I loaded the bike into my car, then stopped at the flower shop. I didn't like Kayla, but I wasn't about to show up empty-handed. A dozen white roses wrapped in silver paper would make me look exactly how she wanted me to look, soft, generous, unaware. That's when I heard a voice call my name. "Helen, Helen Murphy." I turned to see Dorothy Henderson near the bookstore, waving. "Dorothy." I smiled, walking over. "Fancy seeing you here." She lifted a bag. "Just picking up a new crossword book." "You getting ready for Ethan's big day?" "Yes, just finished shopping," I said. She leaned in. "I saw Brad and Kayla downtown Tuesday, coming out of First Bank. Looked like they were signing something big. Brad had a folder. Kayla was talking to a man in a suit. Serious expressions. Thought maybe they were buying a house." My heart skipped. A house that made no sense. Just 2 weeks ago Brad was begging me for money to fix his car. They weren't buying property. No folders, signatures, banks. That sounded like guardianship papers. Power of attorney. Control. My hands clenched too tightly around the roses. I forced a laugh and said it must have been something boring, then waved Dorothy off. But as I walked back to my car, my mind spun. They were planning something behind my back, hiding it behind balloons and birthday cake. I dropped the roses onto the passenger seat, slid into the driver's side, and stared at the mall entrance like it could give me answers. For a moment, I wanted to drive straight to Brad's house and demand the truth. But no, that's what they expected from me. That was the old me, soft, trusting, too forgiving. I gripped the steering wheel and whispered, "You don't get to steal my life," and smile while doing it. Then I started the car not toward home, but toward the bank, toward my safety deposit box. If they were making moves in silence, so would I. I needed to check every detail: my balance, my accounts, my assets. When I walked into Ethan's party, I wouldn't be some clueless grandma. I'd be ready. They wanted to talk about my future. Fine. I'd bring my past, every receipt, every loan, every lie they'd ever fed me. My phone buzzed in my bag. A message from Kayla. "Can't wait to see you this afternoon. Ethan's excited." I stared at it, her fake cheer dripping from every word. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. Not because I believed her, but because I finally saw through her. This wasn't a party for Ethan, it was a trap for me. And I wasn't walking into it blind. At 1:58, I pulled up to their house. Even with the car windows up, I could hear the music blasting too loud, too cheerful, like they were trying to cover something up. I grabbed Ethan's Lego set and card from the seat beside me. The bike was still in the trunk. For a second, I thought about leaving it there, but no, Ethan deserved every gift I'd bought him. None of this was his fault. He was the only innocent one. As I stepped onto the porch, the front door swung open before I could knock. "There she is," Kayla squealed, her voice higher than usual. "Helen, you look amazing." She wrapped her arms around me like we were best friends instead of two women who could barely stand each other. "Thank you," I said, trying not to stiffen. I held out the bouquet of roses. "These are for you." Her fingers clutched the paper too tightly. "Oh wow, you shouldn't have. You're so thoughtful." She leaned in closer, her smile too wide. "We're just so glad you're here." The moment I stepped inside, the smell of cupcakes and scented candles hit me all at once. The place looked like something straight off Pinterest: balloons, matching the tablecloths. Everything color coordinated, too perfect to feel real. Brad came out of the kitchen grinning so wide it almost hurt to look at. "Mom, you made it." He hugged me tighter than he needed to, then stepped back with that fake sparkle in his eyes. "Come on, I want you to meet some folks from work." "Everyone's dying to meet you, of course," I said, setting Ethan's gift on the pile near the table. "But let me find Ethan first. He's out back," Kayla cut in quickly. "Don't worry about him. Come meet Mike, he's dying to hear about your gardening tips." My gardening tips. That was a new one. They were laying it on thick, and it showed. Hovering around me, topping off my drink before I was halfway done, bragging about me to strangers like I was a celebrity, was all too much, too loud, too staged. "Mom, this is Mike," Brad said, leading me to a tall man by the fireplace. "He's heard all about your roses. All good things, I hope," I said, shaking Mike's hand. "Of course," he laughed, but it came out awkward. "Brad says you're a wizard with plants." I smiled politely, but my eyes weren't on Mike. I noticed the way Kayla kept checking her watch. The way Brad's grin slipped every time I stepped somewhere they hadn't planned. Something was off. Then I spotted Ethan near the gift table, fiddling nervously with a ribbon. I walked over and crouched beside him. "Hey, birthday boy," I whispered. He looked up, his eyes wide. "Hi, Grandma." He hugged me, but it wasn't the kind of hug a kid gives when he's happy. It was tight, tense, like he'd been waiting for me. "I brought you something special," I said, handing him the Lego set. "Want to open it now?" He sat on the floor, peeling the paper slowly, too slowly. His eyes never left the front room, like he was on guard. "Do you like it?" I asked. "Yeah," he said with a flat voice. "It's great." That's when I knew he knew something. "Ethan," I whispered. "What's wrong?" He leaned closer. "Grandma, they're going to take your money after the party. I heard them last night. I wasn't supposed to be awake." My heart slammed against my ribs. "What do you mean?" "They said you have too much for an old lady. They're going to make you sign papers when everyone leaves." His little voice was rushed, scared. "Dad didn't want to, but Mom said it's already ready. They went to the bank. She said it's going to be legal." My mouth went dry. "Are you sure that's what you heard?" "Yes," he whispered. I pulled him into my arms and kissed the top of his head. "You did the right thing telling me, sweetheart. You're the bravest one here." Am I going to get in trouble? He asked. No, I said firmly. Not at all. I stood, smoothing my skirt though my knees shook. Across the room, Brad and Kayla were laughing too loudly with another couple. When Kayla caught my eye, she waved me over with that fake smile plastered on her face. Do you want to cut the cake? Brad called. Ethan's ready. I looked at my grandson, then at my son, the boy I had raised, the man now plotting to rob me of everything his father and I had built. Of course, I said calmly. Let's celebrate. On the outside, I smiled through the cake, the toasts, and Kayla's endless fake compliments. On the inside, something inside me had cracked wide open. Rage, sharp and steady, burned hotter than any candle on that cake. By the time the last present was opened and the guests began leaving, I knew what I had to do. I think I'm going to head home, I said loudly enough for both of them to hear. I've got a bit of a headache. Kayla rushed over. No, Helen, can I get you some water? No, I just need to lie down. Big days wear me out. Brad stepped in front of me. But we were hoping to talk after the party. Remember, that'll have to wait, I said softly, reaching for my purse. Not tonight. It'll only take a few minutes, Kayla added, her voice sticky sweet. It's really important. Then we'll find another day, I said. Right now, I need rest. I kissed Ethan's forehead and whispered, Thank you, sweetheart. His eyes locked with mine and he gave the slightest nod. As I walked toward the door, I could feel Kayla's stare drilling into my back. Brad followed me out, his voice suddenly gentler. Mom, wait, we didn't mean to upset you. We've been thinking about your future, that's all. I turned slowly and looked Brad straight in the eye. My future doesn't need to be decided tonight, I said. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I walked away, got in my car, and drove off without once looking back. My hands squeezed, the steering wheel tighter with every block. Walter's voice echoed in my head. If something smells off, it probably is. I'd ignored that gut feeling for too long. At home, I went straight to the bedroom and pulled the little key from my jewelry box, the one Walter had given me after he retired. I unlocked the file drawer hidden behind our old photo albums and laid everything out on the dining table: bank statements, medical records, wills, insurance policies, page after page, proof of everything I had built and protected for years. I made copies of the most important ones and sealed them in an envelope. Then I picked up the phone and made 3 calls. One to my lawyer, one to my banker, one to Susan, my neighbor and closest friend for 20 years. I didn't explain much, only told them it was personal and urgent, and asked if they could come by tomorrow morning. When I hung up, I sat staring at the stack of papers, memories stinging like cuts. The roof loan, the tuition help, the time I secretly paid their credit card bill because they were drowning in stress. I had called it love. They had called it weakness. My chest tightened, but I forced myself to breathe steady. I couldn't let emotion run this. They wanted to trap me with legal documents. Fine. I'd beat them with the same weapons. I made a list: new will draft, asset freezes, notarized copies, witnesses. I underlined the first line: protect everything. Later that night, Brad sent a text. We're worried about you. Hope you're okay. Let's talk soon. I stared at the screen, then locked the phone without replying. I knew what talk soon really meant. They weren't finished, but neither was I. I went to bed with every folder stacked neatly on the nightstand. Sleep never came. My mind kept replaying Ethan's whisper. They said it's going to be legal. I pictured Kayla in a bank office, leaning over documents with that fake, sugary smile she used when she wanted something. I planned my responses over and over, but words wouldn't be enough. I needed proof. When the sun rose, I dressed carefully. I put on Walter's old cardigan with the fraying cuffs, left my hair a little messy, even slipped on a pair of glasses I didn't really need. In the mirror, I saw exactly what they wanted to see: frail, slow, easy to push. I added a soft tremble to my steps, practiced a confused head tilt, a pause, a squint, just enough for Kayla to think she had me. At 9:45 sharp, Susan arrived with a notepad and pen. You sure about this? She asked quietly. I'm sure, I told her, showing her where to sit. She didn't need me to ask. She already knew her job was to watch and write. 10 minutes later, Alan, my banker, knocked at the door, portfolio in hand. Just here to observe, he said. You're not alone in this. Thank you, I whispered louder than necessary, hunching my shoulders as I sat down. When the doorbell rang again, I let it buzz a little longer, let them feel the weight of waiting. Then, I opened the door. There they were, Kyla in heels and bright lipstick, Brad in a pressed shirt he hadn't touched since his last job interview. Kayla walked in first, clutching a thick folder. "Hi, Helen," she said sweetly. "We brought some things to go over with you. Nothing complicated, just some helpful paperwork." "Of course," I murmured, stepping aside slowly. Brad tilted his head. "You feeling okay, Mom? You look a little off." "My head's been cloudy lately," I said softly, lowering my eyes. "Hard to keep up with everything." "Exactly why we're here," Kayla said, smiling like a shark. She set the folder on the table and opened it as if it were nothing at all. Kayla slid the papers across the table with a practiced smile. "These forms would let us help with bills and doctor visits. We'd handle the hard stuff so you don't have to." I squinted at the paper. "That's kind," I said softly. "What's it called again?" "Power of attorney," Kayla answered quickly. "Very standard. Everyone does it." Brad nodded like a salesman. "We'd just be authorized to help. That's all. Nothing changes unless you want it to." I looked down at the yellow highlighted lines waiting for my signature. "And what about my bank accounts?" I asked. "Just part of it," Kayla said too fast. "We wouldn't touch anything without your say." That's when Alan cleared his throat, loud enough to make them jump. "Since it's financial, Alan's here to explain things," I said, keeping my voice weak. "And Susan's my witness." Kayla froze. Brad's face strained pale. "I didn't realize we'd have guests," Kayla muttered. "Well," I said, setting my glasses down on the table, "if I'm signing legal papers, I want people I trust around." "Of course," Brad mumbled. Alan stepped forward. "I'd like to review these documents first, if that's all right." Kayla didn't move, so I reached across the table and slid the folder toward him. "They said it's just to help me," I whispered, sounding as small as I could. Alan flipped through the forms slowly, then looked up. "This would give them full control of your money, property, and medical decisions." Brad opened his mouth, but I spoke first. "Is that what you meant by help?" Kayla's jaw tightened. "Helen, we're not trying to take anything. This is just to protect you." "From what?" I asked. Brad cleared his throat. "We've seen how forgetful you've been. We're just worried." I leaned back, staring at them both. "You're worried I'll make choices without asking you first. That's it, isn't it?" Silence. Susan's pen scratched against her notepad. Kayla's fingers dug into the edge of the table. "We were just trying to do what's best for everyone," she said. "No," I said firmly. "You were trying to sign me out of my own life. And you planned to do it behind closed doors, after your son's birthday party." Brad's face went slack. Kayla blinked hard, scrambling. "This is hurtful," she snapped, reaching for the folder. I caught her hand with mine. "So is betrayal." I stood, letting my voice carry. "You thought I was too old, too tired, too weak to notice, but I heard everything. And now they have to." Alan nodded. "These documents would strip her of her rights." "Which is exactly what they were counting on." "Not today," I added. Brad looked down at the floor. Kayla didn't. She stared at me like she was already calculating her next move. Desperation had set in, but I didn't care. I was done playing the fool. "Thank you both for coming," I said to Alan and Susan. That's all I needed to hear. Kayla stood suddenly, snatching her purse. "Let's go, Brad." He hesitated, guilt flickering across his face. I didn't blink. When the door shut behind them, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. I picked up the pen I'd kept hidden under the table and drew 2 dark lines through their names on the estate draft I'd been working on all week. This wasn't just about protecting myself anymore. It was about protecting Ethan. I didn't wait. I walked to my desk, pulled out the documents I'd prepared over the last 48 hours, and laid them flat. Their names were already crossed out. The new version was simple, airtight. Everything moved into a trust for Ethan, effective immediately. Alan sat down across from me. "Are you sure you want to finalize this today?" "I've never been more sure," I said. "And I want both of you to witness it." Susan nodded, steady as ever, like she used to when Walter and I argued about shutter colors. I signed. Susan notarized. Alan double-checked. It was done in 5 minutes, but it felt like lifting a stone off my chest. "This isn't about punishing them," I told Susan quietly. "It's about protecting him." She nodded. "They'll be back," Alan warned softly. "Probably soon." "Let them come," I said. "I've got nothing to hide," and it was true. I had proof, dates, and 3 years of their schemes, stacked neatly in black and white. That afternoon, I confirmed with my lawyer. The revised documents would be delivered tomorrow. No delays. As the sun dipped low, I stood in the backyard, looking at the garden Walter and I had built together. The roses were almost ready to bloom. I thought of Ethan's whisper. They said it's going to be legal. Not anymore, I murmured. Not ever again. The front gate creaked. I turned. Kayla stood there with her arms crossed. Brad beside her, looking tired and guilty all over again. Can we come in? Brad asked. It won't take long. Sure, I said, stepping aside. Let's talk in the kitchen. They walked in like nothing had happened. Kayla even commented on the smell of cookies I hadn't baked. We just want to clear the air, Brad started. This morning, it wasn't what it looked like. Oh, I leaned against the counter. Then, what was it? We panicked, Kayla said quickly. That's all. We weren't trying to hurt you. You brought power of attorney forms into my home without telling me, I said calmly. And don't lie, they weren't prepared yesterday. They've been sitting in that folder for weeks. Her eyes flicked away. We just thought it would be easier if we handled things. You've seemed slower. I almost laughed. That's funny. I managed to rewrite my entire will this afternoon just fine. Brad's eyes went wide. You did what? I took back what's mine, I said firmly. All of it. Mom, you don't understand. No, Brad, I cut him off. You don't understand. You don't understand what it means to work hard, to sacrifice, to give your child everything and then be betrayed in your own home. But I do. And now you will too. Kayla stepped forward, her face tight. This isn't fair. We've relied on your help for years. You didn't ask for help. You expected it. And now it stops. Brad sank into a chair like the weight of it finally hit him. So, what happens now? Now, you get a choice, I said. I left room in the trust for you both to earn your way back in. 1 year. No lies, no tricks. Just prove you can be better parents to Ethan than you've been to me. You're judging us, Kayla snapped. No, I said, standing tall. I'm protecting my grandson because someone has to. I opened the door. You can see yourselves out. Brad hesitated. I really am sorry, Mom. I nodded once. Then start acting like it. When the door closed behind them, I locked it not out of fear, but for peace. They weren't just leaving my house. They were leaving behind the version of me that allowed this for too long. Tomorrow, when Ethan came over, I'd tell him the truth. He deserved that much. The next morning, I woke up with a heaviness in my chest. But it wasn't dread anymore. It was purpose. I made Ethan pancakes the way he liked them. Even though I hadn't cooked for anyone since Walter died, I wanted him to feel safe, not scared or confused. When the doorbell rang, I wiped my hands and opened the door. Ethan stood there in his little hoodie, backpack half sick. Kayla hovered behind him, looking tired or maybe just annoyed. We'll be back at 5, she said quickly. Thanks again, Helen, I nodded. Have a good day, Kayla. Once the door shut, Ethan's eyes searched mine. Is everything okay now? Did they do it? I knelt down so we were eye to eye. They tried, I said gently, but you helped stop it. His eyebrows pulled together. They didn't tell me what it was. Just that it had to do with your stuff. I nodded. They wanted me to sign something that would give them control of my money, my home, my choices. His eyes went wide. That's stealing. Yes, sweetheart, it is. We sat at the kitchen table, steam rising from the pancakes. I want you to know how brave you were to tell me, I said. Not everyone would have. He stared down at his plate. I didn't want them to be mad at me. They won't know. This stays between us. But what if they try again? I poured syrup over his pancakes. They might, but I'm ready now. I've made changes to make sure no one can take what's mine again, like a secret lock, something like that. I smiled. A legal one. He nodded, pretending to understand. Then his little voice cracked my heart wide open. I don't think they care about you the way I do. I froze. Why do you say that? Because when they talk about you, it's always, what if she gets sick, or what if she forgets stuff? They don't talk about how nice you are, or how you make me feel better when I'm sad. My throat tightened. Ethan, that means more to me than anything. I think you should live forever, he whispered, so they can't ever win. Oh, honey. I brushed his hair back. Even when I'm not here anymore, they won't win. I've already made sure of it. He gave me a shy smile and took a bite of pancake. You're like a secret agent, Grandma. I laughed through my tears. Maybe I am. As he ate, I made a decision. Would you like to stay with me for a few days this summer? His eyes lit up. Really, really, we'll garden, build something with real wood, maybe even paint a wall. Can we paint it green? Only if you help wash the brushes. Deal, he said, grinning. Watching him chatter and dream reminded me why I fought, why I rewrote that will, why I wasn't afraid of Brad or Kayla anymore. Because what they never understood was this: the real legacy wasn't the house or the money, it was him. It was sitting across from me, talking about green paint. That reminded me why all of this mattered. When Kayla came back that evening, she barely looked at me. Everything okay? She asked. Perfect, I said, handing her Ethan's backpack. He's welcome here anytime. She hesitated, like she wanted to say more, but just muttered, thanks. As they walked to the car, Ethan turned back and gave me a small wave. I waved too, and for the first time in weeks, I felt light. Not because everything was fixed, it wasn't, but because I had taken back what was mine. And now it was safe, in the right hands. 3 weeks passed before Brad showed up again. He didn't call first. He just knocked, holding a grocery bag. His face was quiet, softer than I'd seen in years. I brought the almond milk you like, he said. You didn't have to. I know I wanted to. I let him in, cautious but calm. He moved slowly, setting the groceries on the counter without glancing around the house. No comments about upgrades or money, just silence. Ethan's been asking about you, he said after a while. He misses you. He was just here Tuesday. I mean for longer visits, Brad explained. He talks about your garden like it's some kind of wonderland. I smiled. He's welcome whenever he wants. Brad leaned against the counter, arms folded. I've been thinking about everything, about what we tried to do. I don't know if saying sorry means anything now. It does, I said. If it comes with change, I'm working on that, he admitted, eyes lowered. Kayla's having a harder time, but we're trying. I even got a second job, nights at the warehouse. You didn't have to. Yes, I did, he said quietly. Because I leaned on you more than I should have, and I let Kayla's fear turn into control. That's on me. And I believed him. Not because he said the right words, but because for once he didn't say much at all. No excuses, no defenses, just a man who finally realized what he almost destroyed. Before leaving, he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small envelope. Ethan wrote this. He didn't want me to read it. He said you'd understand it better than we could. After he left, I opened it. Crayon handwriting filled the page. Grandma, I think you're the bravest person I know. I want to be like you when I grow up. Not because you have money, but because you're not scared to do what's right. I stared at those words until my eyes blurred. Then I folded the letter carefully and tucked it into Walter's old recipe box, the place I kept my most private treasures. That night, I sat on the porch with a cup of tea. The wind was soft, the stars just beginning to show. I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't feel betrayed. I just felt ready. Ready to live the rest of my life on my own terms. I didn't know if Brad or Kayla would ever truly change, but I knew I had. I wasn't afraid to be alone anymore. I wasn't afraid to lose anyone who only saw me as a wallet. I had Ethan. I had my home. I had peace. And for the first time in a very long time, I finally felt like I had myself. That's today's story. If it touched you, leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget, share your own life lesson in the comments below.